Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this second of two episodes today of Nitro Memories. Thanks so much for joining us. We're now getting into a new decade now for Nitro Memories, and that's the 1990s. And we're going to start off with 1990, and in my opinion, one of the worst years in wrestling history. The Black Scorpion, the Warrior fizzling out as World Wrestling Federation champion, Hulk Hogan pleading with the fans to write their cards, or tugboat, pleading because Hulk Hogan got injured by Earthquake, and then Earthquake and Hogan meeting at SummerSlam. Well, more about that fiasco later on down the road. In the NWA, a big miss when Sting decides to climb a cage and gets hurt. Ric Flair and Lex Luger continue the feud. Can you say RoboCop? Can you say Black Scorpion? So let's get this fiasco started, at least with January 1990. Now, I personally felt that 1990 was going to carry the momentum of 1989 into 1990, but boy, was I wrong. Let's start with the NWA. Sting is now a newest member of the Four Horsemen. Not for long. I couldn't see Sting as a member of the Four Horsemen because the Four Horsemen were out for themselves. You could tell that Ric Flair was faking that smile. Sting, woo! Sting is the newest member of the Horsemen. Arn Anderson, Sting's the best. Ole Anderson, we trust Sting. But when Sting gets a shot at the world's heavyweight title, things change, don't it? So Sting was never going to be the full new member of the Four Horsemen, as you would see in the very next month. Meanwhile, Ric Flair was continuing the feud with the Great Muta and Lex Luger. By the way, Arn Anderson at that time became world's television champion when he defeated the Great Muta and ended his undefeated streak on nationwide television on WCW Saturday Night. He now is the NWA World TV Champion. Meanwhile, Flair continues to wrestle Muta and wrestle Lex Luger for the world's heavyweight title. Terry Funk is now in retirement and now going to commentary with Funk's Grill coming soon to NWA Worldwide Wrestling. The other big story, of course, Mean Mark Callis. That's right, we all know Mean Mark. Big dude, 6'10", 325 pounds. Well, he replaced Sid Vicious as the newest member of the Skyscrapers. Of course, Sid had a collapsed lung. He had to undergo surgery. He was going to be out for quite a while. But Sid would make his return in a few months as a member of this. But at that time, he was out as a member of the Skyscrapers with Dangerous Dan Spivey, and now Mean Mark Callis, redheaded, 6'10", 325. We know him. Great agility for this big guy. We know who he's going to be down the road in the near future. But now, as of January 1990, he is the newest member of the Skyscrapers with Teddy Long as their manager. Holler at you, player. And they're feuding with the Road Warriors at that time in tag team action. Of course, the Midnight Express was still there. They were floundering. Now that they become rule breakers, they were going after the U.S. tag team titles, currently held by Flying Brian Pillman and the Z-Man, Tom Zane. Why would you want to call yourself the Z-Man? I don't know. Anyway, so that's really where the NWA was at in January 1990. But things were going to change, not for the better, the very next month in Corpus Christi. Moving on to the World Wrestling Federation, it's Royal Rumble time. And this time it was very interesting because Hulk Hogan won the 1990 Royal Rumble, but not before... who did? Yeah, Hogan won the 1990 Royal Rumble, but not before the confrontation with the Ultimate Warrior, which would lead to the Ultimate Confrontation. And these two would go at each other. I'm the better man, brother. I'm the better man, brother. You face the warrior. Can't understand him. Can't. But these two were about to collide and fizzle. Big time. Excuse me. But they had their confrontation then Saturday night's main event at the end of the month where Hogan had to team up with the Warrior against Mr. Perfect and the Genius. And Mr. Perfect and the Genius lost, but then Hogan and the Warrior got in their faces again. Really? You know what's going to happen at WrestleMania 6? The Ultimate Collision. Well, that's going to be the Ultimate Challenge later on next month. But that's where Hogan and Warrior were at. Speaking of Mr. Perfect, he ain't so perfect anymore. Hulk Hogan defeated him on December 3rd of 89 in Corpus Christi, Texas. He dropped a tag team match at Madison Square Garden where he and the Genius lost to Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Excuse me. But yet they still say that Mr. Perfect's undefeated. Yeah, he got a disqualification win over Hogan in Madison Square Garden in January of 1990. But nonetheless, Mr. Perfect is not so perfect anymore. And he'll be officially defeated by Brutus Beefcake at WrestleMania 6. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. But we all know now, Mr. Perfect is not exactly perfect anymore. And finally, as we start 1990, Andre the Giant and Haku were the World Tag Team Champions. And Haku was doing the work. But Haku can handle himself. Trust me, he's one tough you-know-what. I don't want to get near Haku. When he was Ming, he was a bad you-know-what. Him and the Barbarian will kill you and smile about it. And Andre was just getting slower and slower. You could tell that his time was just about up in the ring. Such a slow and sad ending to Andre the Giant. But at that time, the Colossal Connection, managed by Bobby Heenan, was the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions, and Demolition was looking for a rematch. They would get that at WrestleMania 6. And that, in essence, was the World Wrestling Federation in 1990. And with that, that's going to do it for this edition of Nitro Memories. Thanks so much for joining us. Next time, it's February 1990. Corpus Christi begins the fizzle of WCW. A lot of mistakes in this one, folks. And in the World Wrestling Federation, the Ultimate Challenge was made official, and we now know where WrestleMania 6 was going to take place. That is it for this edition of Nitro Memories. Until next time, I'm Paul the Nitro Skywars here saying, so long, everybody.